Good morning, everyone. It is certainly a pleasure to always be with you and to share information and our experiences. And it's just a blessing to see you all growing and getting your healths back. It's exciting. I love the fact that we're working as a team. And, I've said this before, the whole idea of life is to grow and expand in creation, continue to pile on. And this is the beauty of you guys. You young guys are smart as all get out, and you really take this out into the woods. So it's really good and exciting for this planet, I think, and this level of creation, because that, like the ripple effect, this energy goes out all through creation. And on all these different levels of creation as well, because remember, you have a mind and you have emotions and you have all these other levels to yourself that one doesn't see and as a human necessarily. You have to get out of the body to journey into these sometimes, or you have to learn the ability to go back in the realms while you're in consciousness. And so it's exciting to see that. I want to thank a person. This is a beautiful card. It's a thank you card, but this person donated a nice sum of money to help you guys. And I tell you, I love people with hearts like this. I want you all to be rest assured that we give, and a lot of you that we're giving stuff to know this, that we give as much as we possibly can. So when you guys step out, and these people stepped out, I don't know if I should mention any names, but they stepped out pretty good. And I tell you, this to help other souls on this planet, I think that's the highest order of love there is. And the next spiritual video we do, I'm going to make it on love. I think you guys will like a different look at love and what it means at all different levels. And so I think we'll talk about that on a video. You think you'll like that one? But thank you so much. I don't know whether to mention names or anything, but I'll just say, Katie! Thank you so much, guys. This helps us help a lot of people, and that's what we do. We use our costs on things when we subtract it from donations, so it doesn't. We're not making anything, and we actually add to the donation piles ourselves. So thank you. This is probably the first donation we've seen in probably 6 months, but we do thank you all so much for that help. We're all one, and just have to learn that. I'll tell you another thing. We live in such a positive and negative time. And this letter broke my heart. And not broke it, just made me cry because it's a great letter. So Lisa, Gavin, Jesse, and Lily, thank you. Very, very nice. And Lisa, I mean, really, this person understands a lot about spirituality and the process this has been to get you this information. It's just staggering, and this person gets this, and she's a lot of love. So blessings to you guys for sure. But with positive stuff always seems to come negative stuff. So here we have Poorskull. Man. Before that, though, address that, I want to, David Icke, or Icky, however you wish to pronounce that. This is a guy that's incredible. Got a lot of information on interplanetary things, definitely a high level of understanding of the world order, one world order, the trilaterals, the Club of Rome, so to speak, the world banking systems, and how that tied into Europe and the Masons. And this guy's got some books out there that'll kind of twist your mind. And I tell you, no matter what you think of that, I think that he sheds a lot of light on things. Very aware individual, David Icke. Good stuff. And I love this. I guess he's got a nice website and newsletter stuff. And this guy's out there. But we need that. We need more and more people that are willing to share their experiences of interplanetary beings and things like that. But he's got a nice thing here about death by doctors, and I thought it was well written. And the sad thing is, I invite all you medical doctors to come over to this side and let's all get people well. Let's get away from pharmaceutical land. Use them in emergency medicine and in surgeries and in stat needs only. But this is a nice little newsletter. I love how he's got the human body in pill form. And that's really what we had become. And the unfortunate issue with this is the suppressive actions and the side effects of isolates and chemistry like this. And so it's a sad thing, and it's not a curative thing at all, and it's just raping our society of money and making people worse by the day. A lot of people understand, for the sake of a symptom 1 minute, you create a lifetime of serious problems. Whenever you suppress the body's lymphatic system, you're in for a hell in the future. You know, that's the system of all the cancers and everything. Just remember, it's just a body sewer system. It's not a big deal. It's not rocket science here. So, before I get into that, though, and I want to touch on Mercolas. Someone sent me this, Mercola.com, and the Ketogenic Diet. I want to discuss this because this is way out there, and if you don't read between the lines, you would believe something this stupid. And these people, you know, some people said that I'm a dangerous man, and it's like, what? I teach people about raw foods and herbs and how to get the body well and how to work yourself toward the God-conscious state. So dangerous may be in the way of freeing up those souls that are trapped here, but this is very dangerous information out there, and it's just loaded with half-truths and untruths. So I want to address that a little bit here. This is an urgent thing, and this is from Stacy. And it says, you might remember responding to a letter from Russell a while back. You addressed his question in Q&A 160. He has written you with some questions because he has a mission to cure his girlfriend, Stacy, of MS. Well, she said, I'm Stacy. So, Russell has watched all your videos. Yes, all of them. Holy crap, Russell. You're a good man here. He is your biggest fan, without question. I, too, have followed you through his guidance and think the highest of you as well. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. And I think equally as of each one of you, too. And Russell here, this, guys. Russell has always been the rock. However, he had a seizure in his sleep and has been down for about a week now. I feel that maybe he is even stumped as to what direction to take after something like that. Okay, now, in all seizures, strokes, all of this, you have to get away from acidosis. You'll notice that in seizures, heat will create more seizures. Whenever you get around someone like MS or someone that has highly compromised nervous system, whenever you add the element of more acidosis, you see their symptoms drastically going up. Convulsions, seizures, things like this can all be attributed to acidosis, the loss of calcium, the weakness of the nervous system in the first place, from years or generations of adrenal weaknesses have created big-time chronic myelin sheath weaknesses. The parathyroids are down in people, and so you're seeing a lot of seizures and a lot of strokes and things like this. And strokes can even not be from just occlusions or blockages. Strokes can actually be from spasms of the vascular system. You know, so this is an important thing. So Stacy, upper circuit brain and nerve, mandatory right now. Antispasmodic, that's for to keep the seat from him seizing. At the same time, all the fruits, berries, and melons you can get in him to start cleaning any pathways, because I don't know how old he is and what blockages he might have. So you want to start opening up. You want to start hydrating the body. And another thing I would look at is the parathyroid gland. I would probably at this time give a supplement of kelp with some parathyroid glandular there to get some better calcium utilization in the body. And I would go down that way. At the same time, I'd work on the adrenal glands and the kidneys, you know, and go after the body as we've discussed it in on this site. Because when you're looking at seizure, you're looking at anything, you want the holistic approach. You don't want the treatment-based thinking. But with that said, you want upper circuit, brain and nerve. That moves oxygen in the brain quicker and better and more, and then brain and nerve strengthens. So real important, seizures is of the nervous system. And it's just tough to strengthen this up. At the same time, you want to remove all the blockages in the human body, and you want to get the utilization of chemistry up. And that corrects seizures or spasms, convulsions, things like this. But use the antispasmodic there as anti-seizure stuff, still strengthening to the nervous system, of course. But the brain and nerve, too, will further strengthen that nervous system up. With the parathyroid, you're assured of utilizing better calcium, and that'll help. And then have Russell send me some pictures of his eyes or something, and let's see where that is. But high fruit, berry, and melon diet. You would not want to give this gentleman protein. That could create another seizure for sure. So you definitely want to get away. Here's another case. If you don't believe me, take someone with seizures, get them away from the seizures, then give them proteins. And I'll show you how they'll go right back to having seizures again. So, you know, it's just all these cases, you'll see what protein does in these cases. And some of these you don't want to go that way. You know, you don't want him to have some fundamental loss of cognition or anything like that from these seizures. So real important to do that. Now, Thursday, that's my day off, and I'm going to be in here all day videotaping and trying to catch up with your questions, because you have some really good questions here that I think is good to know and important, because I think it's important that each of you consider yourself a healer, and that you're learning how to take the body from where we are in the human condition right now, which is horrible, to say the very least, very serious. And bring the humanity back from that into a higher focus. And if that's the way life here is supposed to be, it is. I was sent here for this purpose, so I suppose there is something bigger, you know. Okay. Now, Yaz, how you doing over in Thailand there? I was watching The Bachelor, and I was thinking of Yaz over in Thailand with all the fruits and the beauty of Thailand. Such a beautiful world over there. It's just beautiful people and a beautiful world. And did you guys, any of you, watch The Bachelor? And did they fool you who was going to win, or who he's going to fall in love with and run away with, so to speak? I figured it was going to be her. She's the cutest, and the, you know, that smile is infectious that she's got, and it's just, you know, good stuff. Now, got some bad comments here from a poor soul called Poorskull, and unfortunately, there's these people that are just so unhappy and constipated and stuff that they have to put stuff out like this. And it's sad, but all of you will get these as time goes on, because that's the nature of the positive and negative forces. When you bring out love and positivity, you have the negativity chomping on your heels. And I can be as much a channel for the negative forces as Poorskull here. And that's sad, because Poorskull, I mean, just the very name, I feel sorry for him, because I know that he doesn't have a real big self-image here, and he has to cut down other people, which is, you don't have to do that in our world anymore. And we have to learn how to stop doing that, because things that appear to matter just doesn't really matter. And I want to go over this because I think it's important. And again, I say this in that when you come out here with strong stuff like that, you know I'm going to address them, because I don't leave things hanging out like that. I don't like that. And of course, they upset everybody when people come out with the bizarre stuff. And there's always that sort of thing. He brought out some bizarre stuff, and I was wondering what he was on that day. And the first one I come across is, when did intelligence become something to frown upon? That is just beyond me to comprehend. And I think that the importance, and I don't know why they sent me here to get the people out of the mind. I mean, I do know, but remember, the mind is the creating force of creation. And that's just it. It's not you. The mind doesn't have any self-awareness to it. It's not like it's a chunk of aware, intelligent tissue. It's a body that is like a computer. It's programmable. And it takes in information, dissimulates it, compares it, goes back, compares past to future and all this. And that's where you get in the rationales and things like this. You can program that and feed that knowledge or information all day long. That's what schools do. The problem with academics is it's not cutting academics. If you think I'm knocking basic A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then obviously you're not catching up to us going down the road here. That's not what's at. Obviously, academics, but in the spiritual worlds or the inner worlds, however you wish to donate that, education is different, and I see that moving here that way. You know, I went to a school years ago that I loved, and in Europe you'll see famous docs or good doctors of homeopathy and naturopathy creating their own schools, and great schools. Dr. Baptista, he was a senator in Lisbon, and now he's a great naturopath. His school, I can't remember the total name. It's the University of Science and Biology, I think, but just really good schools and stuff. Now, yeah, there's been all kinds of accusations and stuff amongst all kinds of people around the world, and I'm sure there's truth to all some degrees of these things. I picked a school that I really liked the academics and I think it was Bruce Cohen or something that set this school up. And then I noticed the school had moved to America because I was getting my grades for something I needed, and they had moved to America and set up classes here. I think a lot of the naturopathic schools like Clayton and stuff, they all went out of business, unfortunately. And that's, schools come in and some schools go out. And that's just the way it is. They're not fed by governments and high tuitions and things like some of these other mainline universities. The other problem with mainline universities is that they cram too much in your head. And I think this is a big mistake academically. When I got to calculus, I said, forget that crap. Now, there was a time in my life I could have used it. I would have went to school there to grab that, instead of trying to cram crap in your brain you never use. And this is one thing I do have a compassion with medical doctors, is that there's a lot of stuff crammed in there they'll never use. And I think that's why I love holistic. I think every one of you will love holistic schools, because it allows you to totally focus on the subject matter. And that's pretty cool, because then you don't have all these other courses that's cramming in your mind that you don't even care about. And I think this is why children are leaving schools. They're bored. These are higher souls coming into this planet. Some stuff is, I don't need it. And that's where we have to change our educational system. We're not little robots, and we're not little prints of our government's wants and unwants. Look at the educational system in Texas. They were going to add, quite a bit to the academic of America that some people didn't quite go for. So there are people that pick and choose what you know and what you learn. And schools are like that. I researched schools before I picked the one I went to, and I just love the academic coursework on that. What is a school? You're just reading someone else's knowledge, whether it's true or not. And it doesn't matter if you're going to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, or you're going to Brantridge. Didn't matter. It's all about knowledge and people's awareness, no matter what book or coursework they outline. And again, science is so loaded with theories, you have to separate yourself from that, or you get caught up in what you think is truth, and you're walking down a road that has nothing to do with that. And this is what happened with the medical side. They got so smart, they got unintelligent. And this goes back here, and poor soul or skull, you just didn't get that. And the reason you didn't get that is you're in your mind. And when you're in your mind, you think that's intelligence, and that is not intelligence. The mind is a computer. You're who's intelligent, not with these comments you're making, but intelligence is soul. This consciousness is awareness. That doesn't need knowledge because it is part of the whole and the all. It doesn't have a need to have knowledge like in creation. And knowledge can be, it's important when you look. I was at Disney World the other day, and they were showing, how man developed, and then how he developed speech, and then writing, and then, books and stuff. That's beautiful. Absolutely. Communication has been important. That's not the academics I'm talking about. You're getting out of balance with that. is simply the fact that you can't dedicate your life to your mind and find eternal happiness and joy in God and all these things. And this site is not only about health and wellness, it's about spirituality. It's about wakening up to who you are. I can't teach anything other than that. That's who I am. So you don't understand intelligence. So I tell you what would help you greatly is meditation. Meditation will help you quiet that mind that's chattering loud in you, Poorskull, and start helping you to see more and understand intelligence has nothing to do with knowledge. That's the mistake people make. And so they get lost with that. They get lost with reading books and having all this knowledge. And I know a lot of you have commented on the fact that you've read and studied all your life, and you just, you start to realize there's pieces all over the place. I'm here to put the pieces for you together so you can take a look at them as a whole. That's really all, is putting the pieces of what we know and isolating those pieces that are theories that hold no truth or water to them. So this gets better. Half the words used in this video would have not existed if it was not for the academic arena. And absolutely correct there, Poorskull. Absolutely true. I wouldn't be able to communicate this level. But communication, remember, this is the butt end of the universe. There's communication through thought. There's communication through emotion. There's levels of creation out there that obviously you don't have a clue to. That is, just the communication skills are different. The knowledge isn't the knowledge here. There's just so much to God. It's overwhelming. This allness is overwhelming. Our petty little minds. Come on, man. I mean, this is... he is trying to back up his work with a fake doctorate, which is illegal. Now, what made you say something stupid like that? I will have to say this, though, that if you look back in the early 70s, you could get a doctorate much easier than you can today. Today, you see how schools have stretched out all that time you have to go just to get your master's even. My doctorate would probably be considered a master's today, but that's not where I learned my information. And you can call me Robert if you don't like the doctor. Who cares? I mean, I'm just not attached to words like that. That's ridiculous. And it limits you in a way. So I don't want to be limited. So whatever you think, man. But I went to school and I took my coursework and I did 4 theses and I did a good job and I enjoyed that school back then. And there's a lot of great schools that came and went. Pulling in academics for you to learn. So saying some statement like that's not rude, and I don't know, you didn't feel so good or something, you need some help there. All humans are egotistical. We talked about the ego and the etheric mind, and look at God as this allness that is just massive amount of awareness, intelligence. There's just no physical words you can give to God in its totality. And even if we can just flicker a piece of that and savor that, I mean, because that's where you come from. So imagine this big eternal ball of life and consciousness and awareness, and you go in and you give you like a big I don't know, just a kind of like a big snow everywhere, and you grabbed a snowball out of the ground. It'd be like reaching into the Godhead and grabbing a little piece of it and molding it into you. That's the way it is. So it's just understanding that to be separate, that itself is the all, it has to isolate itself as an individual. And that's when you pick up the first part of creation. You pick up the id. You pick up the ego, which is the separation of me and you. Till you get out of the pure mind, you don't realize it means separation from the Godhead. When you pick up the causal body, that is the body that gives you the time track. That's when you see things as past, present, and future, basically. And so that's when the mind starts kicking into information, and that's where you can get into the Akashic records, and you can see all this when psychics read the Akashic records and stuff of a person. And so it's so much interesting out there. And for those of you that like excitement and you like journeys and you like the unknown and stuff, and you want to know the known. It's an incredible ride to opening and finding yourself. When we talk about ego, outside of that, the individual is an accentuated me. I, me. It's all about me. And that was one of the things I didn't like about Sebastian, although I liked the guy. But and I thought he was really from the heart kind of guy. But it was all about me. And I think really, even in that situation, it's also about the other person. And that was the only thing I didn't like it. I want to find my wife. I want to find my thing. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe she's trying to find her man too. So we're finding ourselves together. I thought that would be a better spiritual take on that. But, you know, it's the way it is. So you have to understand, poor soul, you're being egotistical here. And you don't realize it. So it's just me, and I'm judging you, and I'm cutting you down because I'm unfulfilled, or what is it there, Poorskull? Somebody detox this poor fella. We always choose the option that benefits us most. As a rule, we do. There's a point when you really need to stop that, though, and realize that you're part of the all. And there is a point where you break away from that. Me, it's all about me. And then you start letting go of the little self, and you become the big self. And that's cool, because then your life is so fulfilled, because there is no need for security. You are your security. And you're just a piece of the all. And you are the magic key. Poorskull, you're the magic key, man. You got to get happy with yourself. Change your name. Give some positive vibrations going into your world, man. Because this is, you know, here's another good one. I wouldn't say it's a limited mind, but when anyone with a high school level understanding of chemistry, and see, this is again, you're slandering me here, can point out his mistakes. And the school situation is that claiming that you have a PhD, and then use it in your favor, like for profit, when you don't, is a federal offense. If you're helping people, why bash this woman in the letter? That letter wasn't bashing. If you want bashing, I can do it. I can bash. And you don't want me to bash, because that's not nice. I don't need to bash. I don't feel that need in you. I would rather give you love from the Godhead and let you bash yourself, because that's what you're doing. You're just bashing yourself and making yourself look like an idiot. And you don't, and you really shouldn't do that, Poorskull. I knew you're something, you know, get on these raw foods, man, and detoxify yourself and get your state back, because you're saying things here that is ridiculous. What is a crime is what you've done right here. You've slandered me, and that is and you've done it big time. And this is I could turn this over to my attorney right now, and he would lick his chops. So that's ridiculous. Stop doing stupid things like that and get with it. If you don't like what we say, then don't, you know, go somewhere else where maybe you'll like that and it'll satisfy your level of thinking. Because we're here all growing together as a powerful oneness. And you're welcome, but not in a state like this. You need to clean out your body and your mind and stuff, and start finding some joy in your life. This is someone who's not happy. I've studied federal law for a long time, let me tell you. Been in federal court a lot, trying to help you guys, actually. And so a lot of corruption there. This letter about this woman wasn't bashing this woman. I was exposing using these letters like yours as a tool for education. Because there's a lot of practitioners out here that are like me. We're just good, loving people. And people like you come in and try to disrupt that. It just means you're just a channel for the negative forces. You didn't realize it. And you just got to break that loose and let go of that. Because I'm a God man. That's where I get my sucre. I don't get my sucre from people like you. Yeah. So, you just, yeah.
You know what you were doing?
Oh, I'm filming.
Your 10's ready.
What you want? I've got 20 till 10.
Oh, it is 20 till.
Thank you.
Can we get rid of the time change?
Yeah.
Talk about that. No more time change.
No more time change. No more time change.
Cold.
Exactly.
Protest. No more time change. It's stupid. The days get longer in the summer. And
I know. No excuses. I'll be done in a minute here. No, I'm simply pointing, and he's talking to a lot of you guys. I see who he's talking to. So you guys, appreciate all the work with this. But it says, no, I'm simply pointing out that this doctor, which isn't a doctor, getting a diploma for Brantwich Forest School, which is a bogus institution. What was that about? What was that about? That's not a bogus institution. It might be out of business. I have no idea where Brantwich Forest is now. I know it changed its name when it came to America, set up its school, at least a branch of the school in New Orleans. But I don't know what's happened with it because I'm busy doing my own thing. You know, we go to school, we grab the knowledge and the information we can for what we want. And that's why I think you guys will like holistic schools, because they allow you to focus in and not fill the brain with crap that shouldn't be there. So again, another insult. I mean, I don't know what you're saying. And there's no links of electromagnetism. Electromagnetism doesn't have a measurement. No, but you give off electromagnetic rays. You give off energetics, and that can be measured, absolutely. You never had a bodometer in your hand? I worked for the phone company for years, taught electricity here, which is true. And it's true what he says about angstroms here. The angstroms isn't a measurement of that. But back in the day, Christopher Bird and Tom Tompkins wrote a book on Secret Life of Plants, which they used the angstrom reference. And so I just kind of got in the habit of doing that, since it's hard to describe frequencies and auric energetics and things like that. Look at Kirlian photography. I love that. Matter of fact, I was going to buy a Kirlian photography camera and setup so we could show the difference between the electromagnetic energies giving off. Everything gives off electromagnetic energy, if you're aware of that. And not everything is circle in creation. Look at the orbits of plants. Ever study the orbits of planets? So, this is just some of these things. Cooking tomatoes doesn't increase acid levels. Now that's interesting. This guy must think he's somewhat of a chemist, but this is not true. You can put raw tomatoes in a pan, okay, you'll see some acid response, but cooked tomatoes, and they'll take the copper or they'll take the aluminum right out of the pan. You definitely do increase acidosis. Matter of fact, when you heat, you bond. So if you're talking about chemistry, man, you got to understand a little more about chemistry than what you're saying here. Because when you cook, you do bond. And this orange juice is another good example that you really bond this chemistry. And you break down the water solubles, you saturate the fats. I mean, you can go on and on with that sort of thing when you heat things. So I don't know what you're talking about here. Oh, and this is the one. I hope he meant 4.4 million years ago, not 44 million years ago. No, 44 million years ago. I think you Google National Geographic. And again, I can't pronounce the lady's name that long in anthropology. I'm not good at those things. Well, that could be my high school lack of education. I would agree with that, but pronunciation and spelling has never been my strong suit. But it was 44 million years ago. That's the point. And review that. That was National Geographic on that one. Broccoli, 1,200 angstroms. Magnetic angstroms is a measurement of length, not magnetism. That's true. If you were a chemist, you'd know that bases can be just as corrosive as acids. And absolutely said that. But that's not what man's dealing with. Once in a while, you see high alkalosis. But as a rule, most of what we see is acidosis. And I've made that statement before. You must not have reviewed the videos, my friend. But it is true. And I've said this before, this Keegan water out here, where you're getting up even at 9.5, you're moving that variance of the blood-base balance up too much. And that's as bad as it is acidosis. There's no question about it. However, when we're looking at cellular waste, we're not looking at alkalis, we're looking at acids. And I think that this idea of alkalosis by the allopathy has been part of the problem, and that ties right into Mercola and this ketogenic diet, this ridiculous high-fat, high-protein diet. That kind of fits into what some of modern biochemistry thinking, and I think that's ridiculous. It's theory loaded with theories, and it holds no water. The difference would be look at the cure rate of allopathy, which there is none, and then look at the cure rate of naturopathy, which is predominantly. So the big difference. The proof's in the pudding where I come from. And so that's what I want you guys to know out of all of this and why I'm bringing this up. And it's the last time I'm addressing this sort of thing on here. I'm not going to bring this negativity to my channel anymore, or our channel. It's ridiculous, and we don't need it. This has been hashed over many times. So we don't need to go there. We're a progressive, a loving channel of understanding of healers. And what's wrong with that? We need that in this world. We have too many of Poorskulls who are just unhappy, who haven't found. They're looking for the answers and can't find them because they're lost in their mind. And that's why I'm doing these videos, Poorskull, and so you can help you get out of your mind and get out of opinions like this, because this can land you in trouble. If I was a medical doctor, I would, or some, maybe not, I don't mean to, browbeat that either, but the wrong person would have his attorneys on you right now for slander. And it's just, you got to watch that, because there's no need to do that. If you disagree with our opinions, fine. Fine, I don't have a problem with that. And you brought up some good things here, which I think was important. The angstrom thing is important for people to know. But the other thing here, though, is the difference of intelligence. What intelligence? What is it? And that's what we have to look at. Is it the mind? No, it isn't the mind. Is it emotions? No, it isn't. It drives the intelligence. It takes your consciousness into worlds. Absolutely. It's just a matter of what is contact. Absolutely. This is all about pH variances, blah, 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 blah. So what? You know, the problem is when you get into too much of this, you get into theories and ionization and oxidation. And tell you the truth, you don't need to clog your mind with this kind of stuff, you know? You didn't go to Jesus and expect a chemistry lesson. You got a lesson on God. And you got a lesson on wellness. If you go back to the agnostics and go back to the Essenes, you got a lesson on God and a lesson on health and wellness. And that's just what we are here. We're not trying to build up academic understanding, because it's at a roadblock. If you haven't noticed, we're bumping uglies with the mind here. We've gotten to that point where balance is essential, and balance is spirituality, is bringing the intelligence, the consciousness to theories and the mind and thought processes, because you have to be able to control those things and seek the truth of things. So there's so much here, and I have a little more time, and I want to stretch this into this by Mercola. And I think that when you see these people like Mercola, is he a medical doctor or something? I can't remember. But he's got a doctor in front of his name. So it's enough to say, though, that we learn about we go to school and we learn about the areas that we're interested in and what the school has to teach. If there are schools out there that slander others, that's too bad. But there's a lot of people went into the medical profession, found it wasn't quite what they wanted, and found, oh, look over there at our field, and then grab some of that, some of this, and mixes it together. And that's a problem. That's where we continue to get misinformation. And I just think this Mercola, he needs to go another road, because he's confusing people and he's giving out bad information. And you could say that about me, I guess, but I can tell you the truth. My information is tested on humans for 40 years. So I'm giving out what we see, and our ratio of getting people well from some of the most devastating problems is well established worldwide for years. I've never had to advertise ourselves, because our work precedes us. And it's just keeping love and keeping this together. And that's why I want to do this video on love. I think you guys will like that. But this is talking about a ketogenic diet, which is high protein, high fat. And you have to read through some of this, because this is ridiculous over here. Here's an example here. This one video features Dr. Such and Such, who, along with a team of researchers at the University of South Florida, well, that comes into my neck of the woods, studies metabolic therapy. They found that when lab animals were fed a carbohydrate-free diet, and that's what they're talking about, completely free of carbohydrates, they survived highly aggressive metastatic cancer better than those treated with chemotherapy. Now, did you get that? That doesn't say that the high-protein, high-fat diet cured cancer, not in any stretch of the imagination. Could you even claim that? But they claim that those people that went on a high-fat, high-protein diet survived longer than those that did chemo. Well, no kidding. Chemo kills you right off. I mean, the percentage of survival rate of chemo is embarrassing. for a modality that doesn't understand the reality of what causes things. This is absurd, but this is the sort of thing, this is misinformation. This is simply telling you that a high-protein, high-fat diet is better than chemotherapy, which I think we'll all agree to that one, but it's still a form of chemo. High protein is just high acidosis. Here's another one, CBN, whoever that is, News, recently published an article on the ketogenic diet. Clearly, many people are realizing that what we have been doing in terms of fighting cancer is simply not working. Well, how have we been treating cancer? You're talking about mainstream here, and that's what's going on here. And this is just so ridiculous. Remember this one? This is from the American Cancer Society, 1986. Do you see a high-protein, high-fat diet? You don't. You don't see that. Because that's a diet that gets you in trouble. That's a diet that kills you. You know, I tell you what, those that have, you know, life-threatening problems, don't try this at home. But those that are in some degree of pain, go out and give me a month of a high-protein, high-fat diet, and you tell me how you feel, and then go back to a raw food diet, fruits, berries, melons, and salads, and tell me how you feel there. But those with the low adrenals, they might feel a little bump of the neurotransmitters out of the meat. But outside of that, their problems will just get worse. This is the diet we try to get people away from. These are the diets that are killing people. High protein, high fat. This is medical thinking. And this is insane. And I can tell you, I've got some medical doctors that send me clients. And this one medical doctor always believed in higher protein. And every time he gives these cancer cases high protein, their numbers go crazy. And then he sends them over to me in a panic. And it's like, stop the high protein thinking. It is not conducive. It is not seen in nature. It is obvious. So my little high school education tells me that it doesn't work. And this is ridiculous. So, Mercola, you got to back away from this because you're trapping yourself in idiocy. This is not how you cure cancer out here. And one has to understand that this cancer consciousness is a hype. Understand what acids are or high bases. But in this case, understand what acids are. This is acidosis. And this they treat with acidosis. I mean, and if you're a chemist and you don't understand that, then I don't know, when you weren't listening. But real serious problems here with this kind of level of thinking. Atkins did this. This whole idea, and it goes on to talk about the starvation of a cell for sugar. Because if you starve a cancer cell for sugar, you can cure cancer that way. And that is idiocy. That is totally an unreal statement by any professional to think that you have 100 trillion cells roughly that comprise your body, and that if you starve them all for sugar, which is carbon. Let's get truthful. Sugar's carbon. When you starve the body for carbon, then what is it going to do? It's going to go to the fat you're consuming, right? And break that fat down in through the processes into sugars. And you got the glycogen reserves. You got all this going on. Well, this is what Atkins did. You know, that was his thinking. The problem is two words, ketosis and alkalosis. And this is what or acidosis, and this is what you see every time when you do these kind of diets. Add protein on top of that, and my God, this is nuts. This is insanity. This is the kind of thing here that can hurt a lot of people here that can buy into this kind of bogus bullcrap. This is serious stuff. You can't starve one cell without starving 2 cells, 3 cells, 10 cells, 1,000,000 cells. You can't starve your cells. That shows a lack of understanding of what causes cells to be damaged, or what medical doctors loosely call cancer. What damages cells? Now, bases can damage cells too. There's no question about that. But I disagree with the theory that it's all alkalosis. It's acidosis. And most of my constituents in my field agree with me on this, and we have for hundreds of years. You know, and this is why that the medical profession is a modality that can't cure people. That most they can do is suppress symptoms, which leads to Hellville. And this is sad, and we got to come out of this level of thinking. And these things, whoever sent this to me, I mean, it just is, we've already covered a lot of this, but you see this in black and white sometimes, and you see these docs, I don't know what they're doing with themselves, but if they got any type of Nobel Prize for this, they need to give it back, because this is what kills people. And so this is ridiculous. The concept of starving a cell cancer cell of carbon is idiocy. The whole understanding of it's ridiculous. You can't starve the body for sugars. That's insane. That's not going to happen. Carbon is sugar. This concept of sugar is ridiculous too. There's so many different levels of sugar as there are amino acids and proteins. And it's all divided up into pHs like we said before, but fuel is the essential need of every cell. It's the essential need of everyone. Fuel. You can get it externally or internally. Externally, you got the ethers, you got the spirit, you got the God force, you got the prana, you got the life force. You've got the consciousness of the soul itself tied through the silver cords. You've got all these things that feed you the life force, the God consciousness, but then you also have external forms of energy, or shall I say, ways to dissipate energy. You know, there's some that think that we eat only to get rid of energy. So it's just understanding frequencies and levels and all these things like that. But don't you guys out there get trapped into this sort of things, because this is loaded with a bunch of crap in it, and it's just really will only lead your patients or clients into serious trouble. So unfortunately, this crap is out there, and it's just like Jesus said, this is a marketplace, but in levels that people don't realize, in the mind, in the emotions, even in science and stupid theories and stuff. And what's interesting to me is that we really need to go that far. It's easy to tell the anatomy and physiology of the human. It's easy to compare it to the other vertebrates in nature. That's pretty easy. It's obvious we look like one particular species, both internally and externally, but we're a more refined species yet, and our abilities, our neurological systems, and we don't understand that. So it's just interesting. And the fact that we've done things in the past, like be caveman eating on meat, that we want to return there for some reason because we were healthier then, that's bullcrap. That's all bull crap. Man didn't live long back then. There's not longevity anywhere unless you go to the islands or you go to pharmaceuticals, which are kind of holding people up like a brace before they fall, which is ridiculous. And so we're just really out of balance at this level of creation. Need to bring it back in balance. So that's why I think we need a nice video on love, the difference between personal love, divine love, and consciousness. Quite interesting difference, you know. And so I can say from this desk that I love each and every one of you. You too, Poorskull. Man, get yourself together. You don't have to slander me or anybody else. You know, get your stuff accurate. You know, if you're lost in education, sorry. You know, I've learned most of what I've learned in clinical work and helping others. And when you can say that, that's pretty good, I think. I think we do pretty good here. You know, if you look at our success rate, it's incredible compared to others. And so we're just exposing truth here, that's all. And so I hope you all have a fun day. And don't let anything get you down. Not worth it. You know, people are just willing to take your joy away. They just love to do that. You know, that's the negative forces. And we can be a channel for that anytime. Sometimes I get carried away and oh, whoops, you know. Got to guard against that all the time, you know, because the mind is always wanting its bidding and the ego is always wanting its bidding and that sort of thing. But there are worlds beyond these areas, believe it or not. And that's the spiritual journey we've been talking about. And it's exciting. The level 2 class, I'm going to get more into the God worlds a little bit, you guys, and go over these worlds just a little bit more for both reasons. Both so you understand more about genetics and how it happens, but also so you know where you are in the context of creation and how you build your journey into one incredible nirvanic experience. It's exciting. And so I love you all. If you're in pain, I just want to help you get yourself out of that. Love all of you. Thank you for your beautiful comments and letters. Thank you so much. My heart makes me cry.